What's up guys, Rosario here with another video. Today we're gonna do a Q&A. I wanted to do this video for a very long time and didn't get the chance to just sit down and speak to the camera. So I put down a list of questions which are quite common, but I just wanted to answer them because I think from someone that works in the health and fitness industry, works in gyms and is around the environment 24/7, these are things that I notice all the time and that pisses me off, or simply things that I think it's worth discussing in details. We're gonna go with nutrition, workout and lifestyle in general. So let's start with workout, and I have my assistant here, my camera woman, which is gonna ask me the questions and I'm gonna answer them. So let's go.
Can you tell us the most common mistakes in the gym?
So this one is something that's particularly close to my heart because I'm a personal trainer, so knowing how to train is the core of my job. And when I go into the gym, I start scanning the environment and I could tell straight away who's doing what, and most of the time like people are like, it's clear they have no clue what they're doing. The most common mistakes that I see, probably range of motion. People are really cutting the movement short. Most cases in the eccentric, which is one of the most important parts of the movement. They are rushing through the motions because they want to get the set done fast, and they don't care if they slamming the weights or they just getting momentum and then breaking the tension. They just want to get one rep after the other and just move the weight around, because I've seen that most cases for people it's more about the number on the bar, like how much weight they can lift, rather than how they lift it, and that is a very common mistake. Second one, I would say probably like going to the gym without a plan. You don't necessarily need to have a strict schedule that you follow every time, but knowing how to move around the gym, what to do in a session, like what kind of exercises to do for specific body parts, I think it's really important. And yes, staying consistent with it, because otherwise you're never gonna achieve progressive overload and the results are gonna be very minimal. And third one, I would say this is mostly for young people. They really waste too much time in the gym, like just chatting and or maybe being on social media, and with moderation is fine, but when you go to the gym and it turns into a whole social session, you kind of lose the point of the gym, which is to go there to focus for 1 hour on your workouts and then just get out and then focus on nutrition and recovery. So those are things that bugs me off. But then also another important thing is gym etiquette. So a lot of people really don't know how to act in a gym, or really they don't care about the policies of the gym. I've seen people like slamming weights or leaving machines like fully loaded with tons of plates, people just yelling with no concern about who's around them, just walking around the gym barefoot, like I've you name it, I've seen it all. So yeah, I would say these are the things that really I consider the most common mistakes.
Which are your favorite body part to train and the least favorite body part to train?
This comes from a guy that hasn't trained legs for the first, I don't know, 2-3 years of his career. But now I absolutely love legs. And training legs is a very specific day for me because I have my rituals when I train legs. I normally dress either all white or all black. I have I normally wear long sleeves, or in general, like I don't uncover myself too much because I don't want to turn it into a session where I look at myself in the mirror, I chase the pump. I just want to focus on my training and just focus on how my legs are feeling. And I love it because it's one of those sessions where you are really working out hard. and you feel it both mentally and physically. And yeah, and also the satisfaction of doing a good leg day is just something incredible. Plus, like, the exercises are so challenging that at first I couldn't even squat. Like, I couldn't go. I it took me weeks to go all the way down because I had to unlock the mobility in my hips, and I took it as a challenge. Now the challenge is try to put a bit more weight on the bar and master the form. But overall, it's always challenging. When you train things like arms or abs, you can get like a very light session. Even if you're not 100%, you can still get a good workout in. But with legs, it's a mental and physical challenge. So I like that aspect of it. And I would say like close second is probably back, because it's such a complex and big muscle to train. There are so many parts. You can do horizontal rows, vertical rows, you can do close grip, narrow grip, you can train rear delts, your traps, your lower back. It is such a complex muscle to train, and it gives me so much satisfaction to do it properly. Least favorite body part to train? Probably I would say it's the smaller muscles like biceps or traps, or even like forearms, just because the movement is so boring and the range of motion is so limited that doesn't really give me big satisfaction to do it. But it's something that obviously you need to do it if you want a well-rounded physique. So I still think it obviously it's very, very important to do it. It's just it's not that kind of like mental and physical challenge that you would have during a leg day.
Couples workout, pro and cons.
Right, let's start with the bad stuff. So I would say, first of all, it's very hard sometimes to match the type of workouts and the intensity of the workouts. So it is quite hard sometimes, especially if you want to have a very old school raw session, and then maybe your partner just want to have like a nice couple times and some chill time. So sometimes I think it's hard to match the vibes. Also, let's start with very, very hard unless it's someone that trains harder than you to match the weight. So it ends up being like a pit stop session, like in Formula One, where you had to rack and then you had to re-rack and then you rack again. So it's just a lot of time and energy lost during sets. And yeah, I would say that's the main thing. But if you can work out at the gym and you can find a partner that matches your energy, not necessarily matches your strength, but still trains hard, you can still have a pretty good workout. The good stuff is that obviously, like, it's nice to have company sometimes. You can have someone to rely on if you need a spotter, to have a chat during sets and to have a laugh, or in general making the workout experience a bit lighter. So that's definitely a big pro. And also I think it's something that you add an activity that you do together with your partner, so it definitely strengthens the relationship, especially if you can keep it a habit, because it adds a healthy habit that you do together.
Best gym you have worked out at?
I might be biased because I work there, but it's Energy Gym in West Ealing. So it is a sick facility. It is super huge gym space, very large. They have a huge mobility area with a track, and then you got the sleds, you got tons of boxing bags, you have all sorts of equipment for functionality. Then you have about 20 squat racks. So even if the gym is packed, you're still gonna find plenty of equipment to train. They got loads of functional trainers, loads of split machines, dumbbells, many benches. So I like it because it's a gym where you can breathe even when it's busy, and also because the vibes are great because it's quite dark inside, and they got these neon lights, so it looks like you're training inside a dungeon or something. So I've had some of the best workouts of my life in there. So yeah, that has to be the best one yet.
Which are the most annoying aspects of working in a gym?
I think it is the same feeling of when I was working in restaurants and then I would go eat out in restaurants and you notice all the annoying things that maybe waiter do or the host at the door does. It's just that when you work in a gym and then you really understand how important gym etiquette is, because then you're the one that has to clean the mess, that has to clean after people. I would say probably when I see people that are not like unloading the bar, when they do an exercise that is incredibly annoying, when they do unnecessary noises, they're being loud for no reason and it looks like they're fighting demons inside the gym and they just disrupt everyone's concentration during the workout, so that's very annoying too. But that luckily doesn't happen too often. When they slam the weights, that annoys, that really takes the piss out of me, just because it really ruins the kit. And especially when it's very expensive equipment, you want to treat it like it's yours, like you're the one.
2 hours later.
The way people treat the equipment, the way I think people interact with each other sometimes, like especially when they're spending too much time on one piece of equipment, and maybe they're during sets they're just chatting or they're just scrolling through social media. That is very annoying because they could allow someone else to use the machine. That just, overall, I would say common sense. That's something that I think everyone's lacking these days.
Which are the diet hacks and fad diets?
In terms of diet hacks, I think it's no magic. It's literally, again, common sense. I think it's taking unhealthy habits and turn them around to make them either healthy or healthier. So for example, if you consume too much sugar, what you can do, you can first of all reduce the instances where you consume it, but also replace sugar with either sweetener, or you can use stevia, which is a natural sweetener, and also you need so much less than sugar that you're gonna lower your caloric intake by quite a lot. When it comes to preparing food, I would say definitely invest into a good air fryer. So, if you're a semi-decent chef, you can make crispy fries, or you can make, some juicy chicken breast. You can cook food that tastes good and it's good for your macros, but it's not like pan fried or deep fried. And it's also like not boiled or steamed, that maybe a lot of people don't quite like, especially veggies. So if you can find healthy ways to cook food that make it taste good, you're on board. So that I would say it's something that you really should try to work hard on, because that's what's gonna make you consistent, because no one can be consistent on a diet of rice, chicken and broccoli that tastes like, I don't know, like it's plain and doesn't really have any flavor. So experiment, use ingredients that they're healthy and they're good for you. Try to combine them together and see what you can do with it. As long as they fit your macros and they're not ultra processed sauces or full of additives and things like that, you're fine. Also, I would say diet hacks, I would say try to find the diet that works for you. Don't try to force a diet on you. Experience with all sorts of different things. If you want to eat carbs. If you want to be on a carnivore diet, try carnivore. If you want to do vegan, try the vegan. Just make sure that it's the right one for you, and make sure that what you're getting is what your body needs to thrive. Then, in terms of fad diets, there's, I don't know, every couple of years there's a new diet that pops up and then it kind of disappears. I would say the one that people are sticking with the most are probably carnivore. I thought it was gonna be just a trend, but actually it turns out it's a pretty good diet and it looks like people are really getting good results on it. It's very good to clear up your skin, to lose belly fat, and to feel more energetic, because obviously you don't overeat, you don't eat carbs, so you don't feel sluggish after eating them. Vegan diet, I think with the appropriate, I would say, measures, you can do it, but you need to make sure that all the nutritions that you lack from meat, you get it from either supplements or from, you get as many sources of food as possible. One fat diet that I really don't like is the if it fits your macros, which I think it's kind of disappeared now. Not many people do it, just because I think it's like you have one foot in one, I don't know, on one side and one foot on the other. You either fully commit to healthy food, you turn your life around and you choose whole foods, that it's good for you, a good ratio of macros, you cut out all the crap, all the additives, all the trans fats and all the stuff that is really not good for you. But I think like introducing it every day just to complete the macros that you need is kind of like eating, I don't know, like low quantities of poison, basically. So it keeps you addicted for the rest of your life, but you can never really get it out of your diet. So
what do you think about vegan and carnivore diet?
All right, well, I talked about it a little bit in the previous question. I think overall, like as omnivores, like human beings are biologically designed to eat meat, so cutting it out is, I think it's just a waste, because you lack all the nutrition that you can find in eggs. Especially whole eggs are extremely healthy. They're full of vitamins and good cholesterol. Red meat, especially like a lean red meat, but also like steak, it has amazing minerals and it's really good for you, also good for satiety. Vegan diet, I think it can be really good, but also like you need to face, obviously, and this is something that is for both diets, you need to face the limitations in terms of sources, because obviously when you're eating carnivore, you're not eating any carbs. So if you really enjoy things like oatmeal or bread, rice, potatoes, you need to say goodbye to those. When it comes to vegan diet, obviously it's all the nutrition that comes from animals. So if you can, I don't know, if you can live with these sacrifices and you find a way to make still a healthy and balanced diet, then it really doesn't matter which one you choose, as long as as you feel good on it. If you try vegan and you really feel like it's not the right thing for you, don't think that just because it's vegan it's healthy, because like there is a million ways to be unhealthy on a vegan diet, and the same goes for any other kind of diet.
Would you compare low carbs and low fat diets?
When it comes to fat and carbs, now I think like once you've reached your protein goal for the day, now depending of on what your goal is normally between 1 to 1.5, maximum 2 grams per pound of body weight in terms of protein. So once you've achieved that leaves out carbs and fats. Now when it comes to fats, I'm convinced that low fat diet really don't work. First of all, fats are very good to make you full, and also healthy fats are essential to life. Human beings have to be at least, I think it's 5 to 6% body fat just to survive. So we need those sources of healthy fats in our diet. Even when you're cutting, you should always keep fat relatively high and make sure that they come from all sorts of different sources. The best ones are probably olive oil, egg yolks, salmon has great fats, nuts, seeds, they're amazing. And keep them high, because that's what, combined with protein, it's gonna make you full and it's gonna give your body everything it needs. When it comes to carbs, I see them more of a way to, like, you use carbs in a way, I cannot say, like, to deflate and inflate your body, if it makes sense. So when you're bulking, obviously you want to keep carbs quite high, because you want to restore you want to have plenty of glycogen in your muscles because that's your primary source of energy. You wanna make sure that you're eating lots of carbs because that's what gives you size, because obviously muscles are not just made of protein, they're also made out of water. So carbs is what gonna bring that water into your muscle, and it's gonna give you the roundness, the fullness, if you want a specific look. And then obviously when you're cutting, then you reduce carbs in order to look flatter on the stomach, to make sure that you bring down your body fat so you can show abs and you can look more vascular and veiny. So yeah, I'd say the main thing is that focus on getting a good amount of healthy fats, and then carbs, use them in a strategic way based on your goals.
Dieting in Italy versus dieting in the UK.
Oh, in the UK, I would say even like the average supermarket in the UK is far smaller and offers way less options than the average supermarket in Italy. So I would probably say that dieting in the UK is easier because obviously you have less temptations. Yeah. That also makes it a bit confusing at times because in a way you want to stick to a somewhat healthy routine, but at the same time you are surrounded by all this deliciousness that you don't get to experience in the UK. So it makes it quite hard and very tempting. In the UK, I would say, since you don't have much choice, it's more like I walk in, I buy what I have to buy. It takes me 2 minutes to get everything I need. I pay and then I get out. So eating healthy in the UK is relatively easier because I have way less temptations. So I'll definitely, but I would say it depends on how much you care about your results. So if you want to be somewhat flexible and still have little treats on the daily, then probably you'd prefer Italy because obviously you got so many choices that every day you can have a little bit of, I don't know, like savory or a sweet treat, and you never get bored of it. In the UK instead, I don't know, it can be quite repetitive unless you find a really big supermarket. They have a bit more choice, but if you go to a local supermarket, they're pretty much all, the stuff that they sell is pretty much the same. So you're not gonna find many temptations there, or ways to be flexible.
Why must diets fail?
There is first the individual that does the diet, and then there is the system of the diet itself. So when it comes to the individual, I would say the lack of motivation that comes maybe from setting up the wrong goal, or maybe the goal is not aligned with the amount of effort that the person wants to put. So there is one problem. Maybe they want to lose weight too fast, so they want to put muscle too fast, and that obviously causes problems because they see that the results are lacking, and then that's why they give up on the diet. I would say generally people that really don't know how to diet and they think that what they're eating is right, there's still the perception that eating cereal every morning is correct, where cereal is loaded with sugars, loaded with sugar additives, and a lot of crap that you really don't want in your body because it makes you feel tired. And in general, if your goal is health and fitness, that doesn't really fit that kind of lifestyle. So I think also learning about proper nutrition, what your body needs to thrive, is important. That's why people fail at diets, because they really don't know what they're doing. The other one, I would say that it's probably also the lifestyle that they live, that sometimes it's incompatible with the diet. Maybe, I don't know, they work in environments where unhealthy food is available very easily, so they're tempted all the time. they really cannot say no, but they also come down to the motivation of the person. So yeah, there is another problem, like the environment that you're in. So surround yourself of healthy environment where a healthy lifestyle is really an easy choice. Because if you, I don't want to say that you don't have to go out, or you have to give up on social life altogether. But try to be reasonable with it, because if you go out every night, you consume alcohol and you eat unhealthy food, at restaurants. So that's obviously gonna take a toll on your diet, and it's gonna make much harder to get results. And then when I talk about the system of the diet itself, it's also the fact that the labels that are on food sometimes can be quite misleading, and people really don't know how to read them. They just, people think that just because it says high in protein or low in fat or low in sugar, it's actually healthy. But then if you look at the ingredient list, it's maybe like 15-20 ingredients, and none of that, like, it's stuff that you want in your body. So again, like, people should try to stick to whole foods and should really find the time during the week to cook their own meals. That, I think, is gonna make the difference. First of all, if you consume multiple meals a day, it's gonna make sure that you have it ready. And second, it's gonna make sure that you know exactly what's going into your body. And that's another thing that is gonna make a difference into the difference between a successful and a failed diet. So yeah, I would say, like, people really need to get a better grasp on nutrition. That would be the main thing.
Which are the most overrated and underrated factors contributing to a bad lifestyle?
Overrated aspects, I think, now I'm not saying that it's not important, but I think it's not as important, which is being super strict when it comes to dieting and exercising, in terms of doing exactly the same thing over and over and over, and not using, I don't know, maybe making the food not palatable at all, like not seasoning at all, make it as bland as possible. It's like people go from one extreme to the other. And that's actually, like, to reconnect to the previous question, that's another way that basically people are sure that they fail on a diet, which is, again, going from one extreme to the other, either eating super unhealthy or eating in a way which is like unsustainable for long periods of time, which is basically extremely clean, no seasoning, no nothing, like the most depressing meals you can think of. So that, I think, that is an overrated aspect. I think once you eat your protein, I would be just more careful when it comes to measuring fats. Then carbs, like, if you know more or less what you're eating, you can kind of highball it, so you don't have to be super strict with measurements. That, I think, it's a bit like the overall, like, calorie tracking, I think it's a bit overrated. So I would say doing exactly the same routine for X amount of weeks, just because in the end, like, your body doesn't really recognize what kind of exercise you're doing. It doesn't recognize the weight you're lifting. Your body, all it knows is the stress that you're putting it under. So if you go to the gym and 1 week you want to do squats, 1 week you want to do another, like, it's not optimal obviously for strength, because it's harder to achieve progressive overload. But altogether, if you do every week something different, every time you want to mix things up and shock the body or whatever, that is fine, as long as you train hard, you train to failure, and you hit every muscle group that you need to hit. So that, I think, is another overrated aspect, like the being too strict in terms of routine. And that's also why people like lose their mind doing these things. When it comes to underrated, I would probably go back to the whole, like, being able to read labels, and that comes down probably to also knowing, like, what food does to your body. So I don't think you fully understand how unhealthy our diet is until you start cutting out all the crap, and then you feel your body in a way that is, the way it's supposed to feel. You feel energetic, you feel strong and powerful, you feel suddenly focused because you're not eating all of those substances that are harmful to your health, that are making you feel sluggish, unfocused, and unfortunately those are the substances that people are addicted to. So one underrated aspect, I think, yeah, it's knowing how to read labels and really how to arrange foods in your diet. Another thing I would say, probably the way people train, because most people like that I see in the gym, they train to only to mild discomfort. Now, obviously, like doing some sort of physical activity is still better than doing nothing at all and sitting on the couch all day watching Netflix. But obviously, you wanna give your body a reason to improve, a reason to grow. And if you only train to mild discomfort, your body has no reason whatsoever to, you know, to make that improvement, because it's used to the weight, it's used to the stress. So people really should, like, an underrated aspect is that people should really push themselves and harder in the gym, and even exercises that they're scared to do, or they think that they're able to do it for, you know, mobility aspects or other similar things. They should really try to do it at their own pace, and, you know, try to improve a little bit every week. A third thing I would say, people don't realize how like little unhealthy habits that people literally do every day actually have a great impact on their overall health. So like things like, people think that maybe eating salads is healthy, but actually if you eat stuff like lettuce, it has no nutritional value, and then they think that eggs are bad, when instead they're, you know, they're one of the healthiest food that you can eat. So I would say the underrated aspect is really the power of simple foods. It doesn't have to be complicated. You just need, you know, red meat, eggs, nuts and seeds, grains, fruits and veggies. Basically all the food that are in the food pyramids. As much as it seems like a cliche from school, it's actually fairly accurate, because that's the stuff that we need to eat in order to thrive. So yeah, those I would say are the most underrated aspects.
Which are the biggest struggles at the moment?
It's probably managing my free time. So I'm currently working at 2 gyms. One is Gold's Gym, of all places. I started training there, and that's where I started my health and fitness journey, and I decided to be a PT. And funny enough, I ended up working there. But the problem is that it really takes too much of my free time. And there is Energy, which really takes 1 day a week, and that's the place where I probably end up sticking to, like making it my base, and then using all the rest of the week to work on my content. So yeah, again, like managing my free time is quite hard at the moment, because I'm managing 2 schedules at the same time, plus my own schedules with my business. So that is really hard at the moment. Financial wise, yeah, again, like it is quite hard at the moment in London, because even on a decent wage, you still feel like you don't have any disposable income, because the city is getting quite expensive. So, but that is always a struggle. So at the moment, like honestly, after 8 years, I'm so used to it that it doesn't even bother me anymore. Then I would say this is a struggle that I encountered when I started producing content, which is the fact that I need to develop so many skills. Okay, when I think about it, like years ago, I used to think, oh wow, there's YouTubers that are doing millions and they're just a bunch of idiots, and then people that are doing real jobs are struggling. But actually, like, good luck making a career out of YouTube. Like, good luck developing the skills that it needs to film a video, to make it palatable for the algorithm, good luck editing the content, make sure that you use the right instrument for SEO, you use the right wording, there's a lot of psychology involved in there. There is also a lot of technical skills, which is video making, editing. Make sure that you post correctly on every social platform, because you need to treat them as separate entities. There is so many things that you need to know. You need to be good in front of the camera, which is again another one of my biggest struggles. I was never particularly good in front of the camera. I'm trying to get better at it, so I can produce more content and put my face in it. But that will always be a little bit of a struggle, at least for the first period. Then I would say probably, again, I will reconnect this to my lack of free time, which is organizing my diet and training routine. So working at two separate gyms and doing different schedules. Sometimes I work mornings and I wake up very early. Sometimes I work in the evening and I finish very late. It is hard to stay on track with my macros, stay on track with my meal prep, and start, being on track with my with my training schedule, which is obviously more important than ever, because I think having a fit body is part of my living, and it's part of the demonstration that I know what I'm doing. So I need to look good for the part, so to speak. And also on top of that, I need to fit in all the personal training session in between those bits of free time that I have. So overall, that is the biggest struggle at the moment.
Which is the best way to build muscle while staying lean?
Even if, yes, you build a lot of size and you build it quite fast, you also gain a lot of fat, and you end up spending a lot more time cutting, which is a period that is miserable to everyone. So also on top of that, like, you end up eating so much fast food and unprocessed stuff, things that you actually want to cut out from your diet. You reintroduce it and your body feels the difference. So I would try to stay away from those type of diets, and I would focus on a lean bulk, where you pretty much stay on the same diet that you would do on a maintenance, but you just increase your carbs and maybe a little bit fats. Protein, probably, if you're already eating enough protein, you don't need to increase it, because carbs and fats can be a spare source of protein. So you will always be able to reach your protein goal. But then, I would say the best way to build lean muscle, make sure that you are, obviously we're talking about natural athletes. When you're on steroids, it's a completely different ballpark. But for all natural athletes with regular genetics, I would say it's very important to stay in a I don't know if I'm gonna make it to the end of the interview. It's important to stay in a consistent and a prolonged calorie surplus. So the fact is that your body, unfortunately, doesn't really consider building muscle as a top priority. If anything, it's one of the lowest priority. Consider all things considered. Obviously, your body is gonna work on survival first. So it's gonna do all the basic function like digestion, metabolism, like pumping blood through your veins. That is the main things that your body is gonna be focusing on. So you wanna make sure that you don't just eat a little bit above maintenance, so like those 100-200 calories, because let's say you're in the middle of winter, those calories are gonna be burned just to keep you a bit warmer. So you want to make sure that you are in a fairly high calorie surplus. So I would say at least 500 calories above your maintenance. And you do that for a very long time. I'm talking about over a year. Like, I've been bulking for the past, year and a half, almost two. And I started seeing results probably after a year. So it takes time. But the fact is that the good part is that it takes time to build lean mass, but at the same time it's easier to preserve it. So I would say focus on that. And also it's easier to maintain a leaner appearance because you're not gonna gain too much body fat. So you're gonna stay around, let's say, 13 to 15% body fat. You're still gonna be, fairly lean. And if you wanna get below 10%, you just, around 10% or below, even below, it's gonna be less effort in order to shed that fat. Oh my days. Yes, so that is definitely the way to build lean muscle. That is when it comes to nutrition. When it comes to workout, now obviously you want to make sure that form and intensity are appropriate, but also, like, let's not kid ourselves here, you need to train heavy if you want to get big. You need to give your body a proper stimulus in order to grow. So make sure that that stimulus come from heavy weights, come from reps, and come from high intensity. And then your body will be able to do nothing but grow, because you need to respond to the stimulus. You need to be bigger and stronger in order to allow you to train harder. So don't overestimate the training, and also don't skip cardio, because obviously all those extra calories that you're ingesting, they need to be used properly, otherwise they're just gonna be stored as fat.
What about fitness on vacation?
So this is particularly important, as I am on vacation right now and diet has been all over the place. When it comes to training, like, I'm not super strict. If I have the chance to go to a proper gym, I'll do it. If not, I'm just gonna focus on doing my daily steps. And yeah, in this case, I found my old dumbbells, so I was able to put together like a quick workout. So training, I would say, like, if it's within a week, you can probably just keep it all together. Just focus on doing your steps during the day and you'll be fine. If it's over a week, then you want to find some sort of solution, like a gym that does a week pass or a daily pass, and then you make sure to squeeze in few sessions. When it comes to the diet, guys, the hardest challenge is always protein. There's no way around it. If you can manage to get your protein in, you're good. Otherwise, I think it's not gonna look too good at the end of the vacation. So what I try to do, this is something that a habit that I developed over my past vacation. I try to keep my morning routine the same. So what I do, in the morning, I'll have something like, I don't know, orange juice, banana. I'll try to have something like eggs or protein porridge, which is what I normally eat during my daily, during my regular diet. I'll have all my supplements. I try to have as many protein as possible in the first meal of the day, so I don't have to worry too much over the course of the day, and I can focus more on eating things that I enjoy. Like, if I'm in a different country, I want to try new foods and I don't want to restrict myself too much, but at least I know that I'm also reaching my protein goals, so I'm also feeding my muscles, which I think is a good balance. So I would say try to keep bits of your daily habits on your vacation. So basically your macros are not gonna be all over the place, but you're gonna have some sort of control over it. And then with moderation, you can also indulge every day into something, you don't have any cravings because you try all the foods that you wanted, but at the same time you're not completely destroying your diet.
The last one is...
All right, we made it.
Matching different diets and lifestyles.
Right, this I think is the key to consistency. So, like, obviously you need to understand, like, what does your lifestyle allow you to do on a diet. If you work from home, I think you have the best possible solution. That's the best possible solution, because you can literally do meal prep and then you just go and grab a meal from the fridge and you eat it. So you don't really have problems. But most people obviously don't have that kind of luxury. So you want to make sure that you work around your schedule, you work around your commitments. If you're working night shifts, obviously you're gonna sleep during the day, so you're gonna make sure that you consume your meals during the night, and then you consume them in a way that fits you. If you're used to eat one meal a day, that's fine. There is no magic in it. It's just the way you're used to eat. If you want to eat 2, it's fine. 3, 4, 5, 6, how many meals you want, as long as it's manageable in your diet. Obviously, if you work a very busy job, you cannot stop every 2 hours, 3 hours and a half to have a meal, so that's going to be unpractical. So maybe choose diets where you have less meals and basically keep your macros the same. Just combine the meals, so at the end of the day you have exactly what you need. Also, be sure that your heaviest meals are consumed pre and post workouts. Those are the moments of the day where you're gonna need the most amount of energy. And then make sure that the lightest one, I'll probably say before bed, just because you don't wanna have the huge release of energy. That's why normally, like pre-bed, I always choose things like, I don't know, go for salmon or steak or eggs. You want to combine good protein and good fats, so you are full during the night, but also you don't have that slow release of energy from carbs. So that, I would say, it's important to keep in mind when factoring diet into your lifestyle. When it comes to working out, well, that is kind of easier because most gyms are fairly cheap, and also there are a lot of gyms that are open 24/7, so you can pretty much train anytime during the day. If you work out during the night, as soon as you finish your shift, you can work out. If you work out during the day, you can work out before your shift or after. You can train during the weekend or when the gym is about to close if you don't wanna, if you wanna meet too many people. So, even here they're celebrating the end of the Q&A. Don't know if you can hear the fireworks. So yeah, I would say make all these adjustments. So I would say my advice is don't consider them limitation to your results. Consider them opportunities. So you have ways to discover new diets, new ways to train, new philosophies to healthy lifestyles. And as long as they fit your lifestyle, that's good. So again, it's always about not forcing something upon you, but choosing the thing that fits your lifestyle the better. So guys, I think that's it. That was a pretty good Q&A. Obviously there's still tons of questions that I want to get deep into it, that I want to sink my teeth in, but that's gonna be for the next one. So like and subscribe, and yeah, if you like this kind of content, just drop a comment and let me know what you want to see next. Bye.